incredibly uncomfortable, awkward, different, and not what I'm suited for. Hey, it's Tom Stevens from Reaction Therapy Unplugged with another episode of Client Stories. Here we go. Okay, so this one goes way back as well and brings me a smile every time I think about it. There were these parents that came in to see me about their teenage son, probably 15 years old. We've been to other therapists, Tom. He needs a lot of help. He's really introverted, doesn't like talking about his feelings, but we know he needs help because he's getting more and more isolated, just not hanging out with friends, not doing much, and we need him to practice launching. So I'm like, okay, we could do that. We could work through it. But they said he doesn't want to come in here. We've asked him, we've begged him, we've bribed him, we've done everything he can. And he's like, I am just not going. And this dad was huge. He was like 6'4", big guy. And I'm like, are you strong enough to be able to get him here? Like, if you say you're going, will he come? And he's like, I know I'm strong enough. Like, I'm a big guy, but I just didn't want to have to go through this fight. And I said, look, bring him next week. We'll set up the time. Tell him you've got one chance with Tom, like one, and you are out. You do not have to go see him anymore after this one visit if you don't like it. So just a one-shot deal. Usually does it with teenagers. Teenagers just don't know what they're coming into. So parents come back next week. They're in the waiting room, and I'm like, where's your son? And the dad is standing there. Just the dad is there by himself. And he's like, he wouldn't get out of the car. And I'm like, what do you mean he wouldn't get out of the car? Tell him to come up here. He's like, I don't know what to do. He wouldn't get out of the car. I said, give me the keys. Dad's like, what? Why do you want my key? Just give me the keys. What kind of car do you have and where is it parked in my parking lot? And he's like, okay, here you go. I take the keys. I go down the elevator. I go out into the parking lot and I immediately survey the parking lot to find it because I don't want to walk around like searching like I'm trying to find this guy. I want to be real cash, like I'm just chill. He doesn't know who I am. He's probably never seen my picture before. So I get close to the vehicle. I see the teenager sitting in the passenger's side, because the dad drove him there and he doesn't drive yet. And so I just casually walk around, just kind of looking at different cars, and I go over to the driver's side. I click, because it's a beep beep thing on the remote. I click the remote to unlock it. I open the driver's side door. I hop into the driver's seat. He looks at me like I am about to take him, right? Like, oh my gosh, what just happened? I said, hey, how you doing? I'm Tom. He just looks at me and I go, so your dad said you didn't want to do this today or you didn't want to come up to my office. So I thought, why don't we just do it here? I mean, it's a little hotter in this car. Like, it's a little bit more uncomfortable, but we can do that here. And I immediately launch into therapy mode and just chatting with him, talking about life. Nothing big. I'm not going into anything heavy, which I don't do in the beginning with teenagers. And before you know it, he starts responding. He starts talking to me about life, music, things he does, sports, things he likes. We do the entire session in this car. So about 5 minutes are left in the session. And I said, okay, look, we're about out of time here. I just need to know one thing. Next week, we meet in here again? Or you want to come up to the office? I mean, I got snacks, I got candy, I got soft drinks. It's a lot more comfortable, air conditioning, couches. It's way better, but I'm happy to do it here. He's like, no, we'll do it in your office next week. Long story short, I saw this boy all the way into college. So he kept coming back to me even after that day. That goes to show you that relationship matters. It cracked me up because I wasn't taught that in grad school. I just flew by the seat of my pants because I wanted to make sure he knew who I was and that I am willing to be flexible to meet him where he's at, even if it's in a parking lot. That's a really good question. I think I'd have to think about that because I've done therapy in lots of different places. But I think that's the most unique. And I'll tell you why, because how often do you just hop in somebody's car, especially in today's world? That was probably 15 years ago, so it wasn't like nearly as weird back then as it is now. But I don't think I've ever had a weirder spot to do therapy. His parents were shocked. Like, when I went back up, which I did, I went back, I left the car, I left him there. I went back up to my office and I said to the dad, here are your keys. You're good to go. I'll see you next week, Thursday, 2 p.m. or whatever time it was. He's going to come on back up here. So we're good to go. Don't question him. Don't ask him a bunch of stuff. Just go with the flow, get on about life, and we'll see you next week. Incredibly uncomfortable, awkward, different, and not what I'm suited for. You know, if you imagine sitting in a car, I'm sitting straight forward, not looking at him. I'm looking out the windshield, which, by the way, probably was pretty good because he didn't feel this, pressure, but we are literally right next to each other. So I just kind of turned and talked to him. It was uncomfortable. I wasn't used to the car, but he was comfortable. That's what mattered. Thanks for watching another episode of Client Stories on Reaction Therapy Unplugged. Go subscribe, like this video, and hop on over to Reaction Therapy to subscribe there as well. See you next time. Okay? Next.